Welcome back, everyone. It's a 30-minute conversation tonight, so let's get straight into it. 3 weeks after President Bola Tinubu ordered the review of the list of members of the governing councils and board of federal tertiary institutions, a total of 560 individuals were appointed to the governing council, 5 members each, including a chairman for 51 federal universities, 24 federal colleges of education, and 37 federal polytechnics. This new appointment followed a directive from President Tinubu to review and reconstitute the earlier list of council members, which had been criticized by the Academic Staff Union of universities and other stakeholders for alleged lopsidedness. For the next 20 or 25 minutes, let's speak with Right Honorable Francis Ejirogene Waive, Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business, on the composition of Council of Tertiary Institutions and the controversies that list has generated. Honorable, good evening to you, sir. Great to have you on the program. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and good evening, Nigerians.
Right. So now that we have a new list, let me see if I can get some prominent names on that list. We have Chief Bisi Akonde, we have Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Wale Olanikwekun, who will chair the Council of Lagos University, and many others. The major concern is that the other list, as the first list, violated Chapter 2, Section 14, Subsection 3 of our Constitution. So how has this new list addressed that major concern?
Well, thank you very much. The challenge with this new list is that it is worse than the first in anyhow you want to look at it, in all ramifications. This new list is worse than the first. Our president, President Bola Tinubu, is a listening president. When he heard of all the complaints of on the first list, he ordered, like he normally will do, very responsive, that that list be discarded and a new list that will reflect a federal character, that will be better for the academia, should be put up. But the new list that came up is worse than the first. That new list was done by the Federal Ministry of Education. The current list is done by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. I don't understand that. And I think that some people, I don't know whether some people want Mr. President to fail, but we are not going to allow that. I'll give an example from Delta State. We had only 4 out of 560. It's appalling. 5 per state would even be far cry.
Right, so really what agency or parastatals of government should be in charge of that list, of the composition of the governing councils of tertiary institutions?
The Federal Ministry of Education, of course. These are parastatals, as it were, that are under the ministry. That is why when this new list came out, I wrote the Ministry of Education. And the PAMSEC called me immediately to say, well, I should go and look at who wrote this new one, which office it emanated from, who signed it. It's from SGS office and not from the Ministry of Education. And I had to write the SGF's office that this is injustice, it's against the federal character. 36 states in a country, and then you give one state 4 positions out of 560, and you give another state 30. Oh no, that's injustice. We are going to continue to cry out on this until Mr. President would ask that the correcting be done. Those who have done this should be sanctioned, that's my belief, because you can't just do this injustice. Good enough. Even the Academic Staff Union of Universities have looked at this list and complained that this is worse than the first. What was going to be cured has now been further bastardized in this one. We can't run our country like this. There was a time in this nation when even the Federal Character Commission didn't reflect federal character. The chairman and the secretary were from one particular zone. Who does that? And the 2 persons accepted the position. But we thank God now we have a president who listens. And when the first list came and there were complaints, one would have expected that the new list would, be better, would be fair, would reflect federal character, would bring in seasoned academicians, We bring in people who have some commitments and some flair for education, people who have demonstrated some passion for education in this country. That's what we were expecting. But look at what has happened. You give Delta State 4 out of 560. Look at my constituency, for example, has nobody. Out of 360 constituencies in this country, Delta State, even the Senatorial District, Delta Central has nobody. Who does that? This list must be withdrawn, and the defects must be corrected.
I mean, you know, when the first list was released, many didn't expect that a simple act of appointing members into governing councils should generate this much controversy, because governing councils do not really sound like political appointments. The mandate is to conduct checks and balances, ensure smooth running of the institutions. But alas, we have people who were not pleased with the composition of that list. But really, I mean, you're saying tonight that this second list also violates federal character principle. But there are others who have said it looks like an appointment, like political appointment. Is that also the same way you feel about this?
Well, that truly is another part of the problem. But I'm a politician, so I know that many people who have put in their efforts in politics will be expecting some form of a reward. If this were a reward, then that reward should be well spread. That's my concern. In Delta Central, for instance, we have a senator that comes from the ruling party. I come from the ruling party, and I represent Ughelli North, Ughelli South, and Udu Federal Constituency. And of all of these places, not one single person. In the entire Delta State, you gave us only 4 out of 560. That's oppression. That is denial. That is marginalization. That is not fair. We need to have a sense of feeling of belonging to this federation called Nigeria. And to do that, if you are dividing 560, we should have a minimum of 15. In fact, we should have up to 20, like some people are having 30 now. That's the area of my concern. But then the issues of the caliber of persons is another matter. If you look at the first list and this list, this one is worse in every standard. Look at the first list. You find some academicians that were appointed, some though retired, but experienced people. But in this new list, I don't want to talk about individuals, but it falls short. And I think one of the reasons is because we are doing it in one fell swoop. We are doing the entire federal universities, polytechnics, colleges of education all at once. If this was being taken perhaps piecemeal as each institution, as governing council's tenure comes to an end, perhaps we won't have this hulabaloo. But this whole problem, I think, is coming because we are taking it all at once. But taking it all at once, it can still be done, but it should be done rightly. And it should be done with a sense of fairness, of justice to every section of this country, and then to be sure that the educational institutions get the best of our country. And there are people in this nation, 200 million people, some of the most educated people in this world are Nigerians. Why can't we get them on board? That is the issue. And for us in Delta State, our problem is that we will not sit down and have only 4 out of 560. That must be corrected.
You know, it's very disturbing that you politicians are complaining of marginalization, but academicians also have their own grievances. So for the basis of this conversation, we're going to merge both concerns. Because I asked that question because someone like Professor Emmanuel Sodeke, as a president, who is one of the vocal opposition to the reconstituted governing councils, is questioning why this appointment smells of political patronage, and that their request was for government to reinstate the legally dissolved governing council board of tertiary institutions and not to constitute a new one. So let me ask for your perspective. Is ASUU president overreacting?
No, I wouldn't agree that we go back to the old boards. Some of them, their tenures are over, and some of them are almost over. And if it is in the wisdom of the visitor to these institutions, it's time to change them, he has that right. We voted him as president and commander-in-chief. He has that authority. and he is doing what he's authorized to do. The challenge here is that in doing it, his lieutenants, those around him, must ensure that there's a sense of justice and fairness, and that square pegs are put in square holes. I think that's where ASUU is having the argument, that if you compare the two lists, even the first list had more people who are more academically inclined, and such people are better. While they were saying that the number was not enough in the first list, you now bring a second list where the number is negligible. I'm not an academician, so I wouldn't want to go into each of the persons there and their backgrounds. But as a politician, I understand that in a country like Nigeria, where we have 36 states plus the FCT, if 560 is being shared, there must be a sense of justice, equity, fair play. That division is very, very, very crucial for peace to reign in our nation. That's the basis of the Constitution. In our national anthem that we sing, our pledge that we make, we all talk about this, a country where justice, fairness, equity reigns. And that's what we in Delta State are pushing for. 4 is not our number. From 560, do the max. Divide by 36 or by 37. We should have our fair share. That's what we are talking about as far as we are concerned in Delta State. And I've written, Mr. President, I channeled my letter through the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Affairs for the House of Representatives, my colleague in the 9th Assembly, Honorable Olariwaju. I also wrote the Federal Character Commission for them to look at this. Under their nose, this illegality cannot be going on. So I've written them to look at it. The House Committee Chair on federal character, they've acknowledged the receipt of my letter. The SGF's office have also acknowledged receipt of my letter, and this must be corrected. We are one nation under God, and there must be that sense of belonging to each and every part of this country for us to enjoy peace, for us to enjoy justice and equity, for things to go on, for development to move in the nation. And if you look at the first list, I must point this out. In the first list, for each of these institutions, there was always somebody from the state in that institution, in a sense that it would help the other 4 members to have a local feel. But in this new list, nothing like that. Nothing like local content, so to speak. They just bundled people from God knows where and put them together and announced that the president will be swearing them in. I want to make a public appeal to Mr. President. We have a president who listens. Since this 1 year plus he's been in office, he's reversed few things here and there that he heard the cry of the masses that this was not right. And then he did that reversal. We're hoping that Mr. President will continue to lead from the front and do the same again this time so that Nigerians will have that sense of belonging and know that we have a president who listens. And then higher institutions can, go on running smoothly and bringing up children that will excel as the ones previously have excelled.
All right. Honorable Wiver, let's go on a break. And when we come back, we will continue this conversation. You're watching Politics Tonight, everyone. We'll take a break and I'll be right back. Please stay with us. Number 5.
Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Customs, Honorable Leke Abejide, joins millions of Nigerians, both at home and in diaspora, to wish a happy birthday to the Chief of Staff to the President. Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, my worthy boss. As you turn 62 years, I pray God to continue to increase you in wisdom, wealth, and sound health. No doubt, you have impacted lives positively in this planet Earth, and it is glaring for everyone to see. Congratulations, Your Excellency. Signed, Honorable Leke Abejide, Chairman, House Committee on Customs and Excise.
back, everyone. You're watching Politics Tonight, and my guest tonight is Right Honorable Francis Ejirogene-Waive, Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business. And tonight we're discussing the furore over composition of Council of Tertiary Institutions. Honorable, thanks a lot for staying with us on the program. Now, I believe you're speaking for Deltans. So, if out of a total of 560 individuals, what figure are you requesting? Did you get my question? All right, let me repeat that question.
It's simple but practice. If they give us 20, we'll be happy with that.
20?
Yes, you asked the number that will be fair to us in Delta State. If you give us 20, that would be all right. Some states have more than 20 at the moment. But if you do the max, 560 divided by 36, and you give us that fraction, we don't mind having that. And I tell you, I've spoken with my governor too, His Excellency Governor Right Honorable Elder Sheriff Eborobori, and we are on the same page on this. I've spoken with my senators and my colleagues in the House, and we all are aghast about what has happened, and this must change. They should give us our fair share. Minimum of 560 divided by 37, or give us 20. When it went in the first list, we had 10, and we were complaining that 10 was rather small. And now it went down to 4, and the thinking is, because we didn't come out to complain when it was 10, we are now given 4, then tomorrow we'll be given 0. That's why we are shouting now. The entire country must know that this is happening, and this must change. And I'm very pleased that the president we have is a man who listens. I believe that these people will not be sworn in. I believe that the president is going to review this list, and something better will come up. They should involve ASUU. Those who draw up this list should involve ASUU, involve the Federal Ministry of Education, involve even the leadership of the various institutions, the management of the various institutions. If you do it that way, you'll end up having something that is fair, something that is just, and something that is good for our country, because that is the key thing again. If you are very sectional, then you'll be breeding what is not good for nation building. We must build one nation under God, where everybody has a sense of belonging, where there is justice, there's equity, there's fair play. And this list that has just come out for federal higher institutions is not it at all. This list that just came out, it must change.
Let me take you up on APC reward mechanism, because apart from this current situation, we have had people within your party, the APC, who have always gone about with the sentiment of the presidency rewarding those who did not work for the victory of President Tinubu, especially outsiders who are opposition party members. I mean, I've heard that till now, some of the names recommended by the governors for federal appointments have been ignored, and that the governors are not always consulted, and that in the weeks and months to come, there may be an implosion in the party. How correct is this?
No, I won't agree that there's going to be an implosion in the party in the weeks to come. I disagree, because this problem of a weak reward system in the All Progressives Congress did not start today. From the very beginning of the party, when we came into power, it has been a complaint that has been on in the party. And I must say that in the last 1 year, it has begun to improve. For instance, there was a time when councils in Abuja here didn't have secretaries for years. And people were wondering, you've won election, you are the government, you are the party in government, you should be in power. But you will find that since President Bola Tinubu came in, that is changing. And I think it's one of the reasons why he's doing these federal higher institutions in one fair swap, making sure that 560 positions become available to people across the country. The challenge now is that those who are responsible to bring up this list are not doing it in a just and fair manner. That's the challenge. But for the party, we are happy that Mr. President is taking the bulls by the horn and is making sure that positions that are vacant are being filled and filled by party people. That is already being addressed. It's not as bad as it was in 2015 or 2019. Since 2023 is beginning to change. So I wouldn't agree that there's going to be one implosion coming up soon. No, rather we are looking up in hope. Since we have started to see change, we believe that that change will continue. And at the end of the day, party members will be encouraged, will be pleased, will be happy that they didn't work in vain. That's our hope. That's our belief.
All right, so let's go back to this particular matter, composition of Governing Council for Tertiary Institutions. You're requesting that this new list be withdrawn. Do you think it would look good on this administration if this happens? I mean, the first list has been withdrawn. You're soliciting or requesting that the second list be withdrawn again.
Now, that is why I like this president. He leads from the front. He listens to the people. And I know he will do it. This is not a president that will tell you he's not aware of what is happening, or a president who will tell you that he is egoistic and cannot listen to the people. This is not that kind of president. Our president is going to do the right thing. He's going to withdraw this list, and he's going to ensure that this time it is properly done. You could even look at the first list. It's a better list by all standards. So now that the errors are being seen, I believe that Mr. President will do it, and Nigerians will praise him for it. Already, the citizens already know that this is a president who does not feign ignorance of what is happening, and then he listens when things are happening. He's able to change his mind. I don't think this is too much for him. He's a very experienced politician. He knows what it means to carry the people along. And I believe that Mr. President is going to do it. We in Delta State who are asking for this change particularly, we know that he's going to do it, and we're looking forward to it being done. We are asking this not just in fear that it won't be done. We are asking it believing that if we don't speak, he won't be aware. And now that we are speaking and he's aware, Mr. President will do the right thing. We voted for him, and he will do it for us.
For you,
so we don't see any issue of shame or ego. It's national interest that comes first. And he has always told us that. This country comes first.
All right.
Yes.
I was saying, and the right thing for you now is that this list be withdrawn. Is that it? Honorable, did you get that question?
Yes. And before a new list is introduced in the public space, it must go through a proper scrutiny. ASUU must look at it. The governors, yes, that the present list should be withdrawn. And a new list that will be drawn up should go through some process of scrutiny for federal character, for the academia to buy into it, for all those who are touched or affected by it, to look through it before it is released, and not just done by a few people somewhere and then released in the name of Mr. President is going to inaugurate these people. No, our country can't run like that. This list that is currently on should be withdrawn, and then a new list should be, worked up in consultation with the states, with the Ministry of Education, with the institutions, with ASUU, with all stakeholders, so that by the time the list is withdrawn, the new list is released, it's not a shocker. And when it's released, people who look at it will know that there's a sense of fairness, there's equity, there's justice, there's federal character, there is, the academia is well represented after all. They are going to be dealing with academic issues. And of course, the politicians too must be satisfied. A few politicians must be in there, particularly from the All Progressives Congress. That's our party. We are the party in government. We should also be in power. There's a difference between the two. We should also be in power and not just in government.
Honorable. All right, so we see how that plays out. I must say very thank you to you, Right Honorable Francis Ejirogene Waive, Chairman House Committee on rules and business. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight and sharing your concerns with us. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at midnight. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke WO using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatuji. Good night, everyone.
In the heat of the summer, downfall buses feel like extremely hot ovens.
How do I cope with this heat?
And how do I cope with that bad odor?
By